I started those Ansible servers which we created yesterday, the master and slave. Today we'll get started writing the playbooks. Let's connect to the master. So let's start writing the playbook. Yesterday we have done installing package and all, right. Let us do the same with the playbook. You can give any name to the playbook and the extension should be YML. And there were again few mandatory parameters we have to use, like 3 hyphens as a best practice to start a playbook. And then comes host, means the target. What is the target name? Correct? Web servers. And then you want to run this with the root user privileges. So become true means, do you want to escalate the privileges? Yes, we want to run the playbook by escalating the privileges, which is become true. And then become user, which is root. Okay. Become user root. And then we have task. And then we have name of the task. Install HTTP, right? And then the package, the module is yum, right? How do you pass the parameters? This is how you can pass it. HTTPD. And another attribute is state equal to present, means it makes sure the package is present, right? The second task, see, you can have any number of tasks. And then the second task would be start HTTPD. Okay. And then again, service. Name is HTTPD. State equal to started. Right. So 2 tasks like this, you can have any number of tasks. This is one play. You can have also any number of plays. Like let's say this is another play. That's what we were talking about, right? Playbook can have any number of plays. Let's say you have another group of servers like DB servers. Right? That's how you can have another play. So that will install Tomcat, install HTTPD, start HTTPD. And after that, let's say I would also like to do or deploy the HTML file on this HTTPD. Right. Let's say I have index file, some HTML file on the host machine. How to copy from host? There is something called copy module. SRC, the source is going to be the HTML file which is present on the host. Destination is going to be on the target machine. So whenever you install HTTPD, it would be var www.html, right? So copy is another module which will copy from the host to the target machine, right? This is the host, means in the same directory, if you put index.html, it would be copied onto the destination, right? And then whenever you make some deployment, we would restart the service, isn't it? So restart HTTP. How do you restart? Again, service module. Name is HTTPD. State equal to restarted. Type restarted. Right? So those are the tasks I'm going to add. Okay, before adding these tasks, 1 minute, state equal to restarted. Okay, before adding these tasks, I'll just comment it out, or I'll just copy this. Okay, I'm just having only these two. First, let's run this merchants. We'll add them again. Okay, first let's run this. So this is your playbook. How do you run the playbook? Ansible playbook command. And by the way, we were running it as we have installed this as a EC2 user, isn't it? So let's go back to EC2 user. I'm just creating in this location. It can be in any location. Okay. Playbook 1.yml. Let me add few tasks. Okay. So how do you run the playbook? Ansible playbook. Okay. Minus sign, the inventory name. Okay. And then the playbook name. Okay. If you want to check the syntax check. Right? And then if you want to see what are all the hosts that are going to be targeted by this playbook, list hosts. It will list only one host, right? That's what it was showing. Okay. And if you want to run the playbook, just the playbook name. Ansible playbook, pass the inventory and the playbook name. See, it was saying all of them were executed. One change service might have been started. Let us also connect to the host machine. To test the configurations only, we need to connect to the host. So oh, sorry, this key is different, right? We have used a separate key for this. So here HTTPD might be run. Okay, fine. Now if you want to deploy, it should be where www. This is the document root location, if you remember, correct? HTML. This is the document root location, but there's nothing. Now we want to copy the index file. Okay, let's say I'll have some index file here, some HTML file, index.html, some simple header, which I want to deploy. Okay, this one I want to copy. So let's edit the playbook. So here I'm going to add the task which I have shown some time back using copy module and restart. Right? So this will copy that HTML file into where www.html of the target machine. Right? Also, if you are executing these tasks in series, you can see that only when this deployment happened, you want to restart this. Not always, right? Because if you rerun, there is no deployment happened, already deployment is there with the index.html, you don't want to do it. Means you want to restart when a deployment task is executed, isn't it? Because what I mean is, they will not execute always. See here, okay means HTTP is already installed. Idempotency is there. It's already installed means it will not reinstall. Similarly, if this particular task is executed, I mean, if this is not executed, you don't want to restart. Correct? Means you want to do this only if deployment changed. In that case, you can call it through notify. Whenever deployment task changed, then only it should call this task. Right? And the tasks which are executed, which are called through notify, are called handlers. Okay, see here, handler is also special task, but which will be called through notify. Right, notify will be calling it only when the task is executed, when some change happened to it, not always. Because the deployment may be same, then you don't need to restart Tomcat, restart HTTPD, correct? For the first time, it should restart. Let me show you. When you execute, you will see it. You will see it clearly. See, I'm running this. Now deployment tasks will happen. See, these are all okay because they were all in the same state. See, this change, when this changed, handler got called. Changer means some change happened. See, index file is there. Now on this server on port 80, we can see that HTML file on the target machine. So on the target machine, you should see this. Of course, in the security groups, add the port 80, edit the inbound rules, add the port, HTTP port 80. Okay, that's fine. What if you rerun the playbook? Already it's the same file. So deployment will not execute. It will just say okay. Then handler should not be called. Do you see the difference? Means handler is also a special task which will be executed when the some particular task got changed, when the particular task got executed. Understood? Got it clear, all of you? So that's what is handler does. Handlers are the special tasks. Also, handler will be called through notify. Because if there is no deployment, we don't need to execute this at all. Also, handlers are special tasks. You may call the same handler any number of times. Let's say I may call through notify from here. But handler will be executed only once at the end of all the tasks. Right? So deployment will not change because it's the same index file is there. Right? So as long as deployment doesn't change, doesn't execute, handler will not be called. No need to restart. Let's suppose I'll change this. App, let's say wait. Okay. Now if you apply it, right? Do you see here? Deploy task change. It got restarted. Do you see that? Right? So that's how handlers work. Clear with the handler? So that's one playbook. HTTPD. Let's do the similar kind of thing for Tomcat. Good to go. We'll be creating one more playbook, playbook2.yaml for Tomcat. Almost it is also the same like you have host. These are mandatory parameters. Okay. Web servers and then become true and then become user, which is root, and then you have task. Okay, name of the task is anything. This can be user defined, any name you can give of your choice. Okay, and then which module to install the packages. Yes, Dinesh. Through handler, you can call a particular task. You put that name of the task beside the handler. We'll add again for this playbook also. Name state equal to present. So Tomcat will be installed and then name is start Tomcat. Okay. and then service name is Tomcat, state equal to started. Deploy var file. Okay. Now let's say I'll deploy the var file. I'll talk about which module to use for this. Okay, let's say copy module. Okay, for example, I'm writing, I'll change it. Copy module. Then after deployment also I need to restart Tomcat, right? Restart Tomcat. Again, service module. Name is Tomcat. State equal to restarted, right? So yeah, okay. And then handlers. Handlers. Okay. And then name equal to which handler, like upon which one you have to write this handler. Handler is, sorry, 1 minute. Here I should write notify. I missed notify. Notify restart Tomcat. And this is nothing but the handler. Handler is nothing but a task. Okay, the name of the handler you should put in the notify. You want to call the handler means that handler name. This is the handler name restart Tomcat. Notify will be calling that particular handler. Clear now? Also, how do you copy anything from the host to target? There are different ways. Like let's suppose copy module. If you want to copy from host to target. Okay. Another thing is that's for copy. Okay. Then let's say you have something from a URL. You want to download it from the URL to a target. Then how do you do that? That's where something called get URL module comes in. Okay, from a URL, you can download it to target. This is second thing. Maybe you may have some files in a particular URL. And the next thing is, let's say you have something on GitHub, how to copy it into target. Means copying it to target can be done in multiple ways. From the host machine, you may want to copy, then you can use copy module. From a URL to a target, get URL module. From a GitHub, you have get module. Module name itself is Git. We have already used copy module, which will take some parameters like source, destination. Get URL module where you have parameters like URL and then again destination. Git also, Git module will take something like repo name, repo URL, and then the destination. Right? Different ways to copy into the target. So now Tomcat, I'll deploy a sample var file. So from the URL. We have already seen this copy module. Okay, we will see this URL and GitHub one by one. Okay. So here, copy. Copy, not copy. So get URL module. Okay, and then the URL you want to download from and the destination. Okay. The destination as it is Tomcat, it's going to be USR share Tomcat web apps. Okay. And the URL from where you want to download. Let's say sample var file download. Okay, this is the URL. This link address. right? So it will download from here to the destination, right? Clear with this playbook, everyone. And whenever this change, then only it will restart. So here there should be Tomcat installed in this path, USR share Tomcat web apps, and it should be installed there. USR share Tomcat. You don't find it now. Once we install it, it will. Is this playbook clear for everyone? Understood this? Any questions, please let me know. Ansible playbook -i inventory playbook 2.yml syntax check. Okay, it is returning the name means it's fine. Before actually running it, we can also do a dry run with a check flag. Means changes will not be applied. It will just show you a preview kind of dry run. It will not really apply the changes. Because we don't find where file it was showing this. What was this? Could not find the requested service Tomcat. Yeah, because Tomcat is not there, it cannot start, right? So it's like a kind of dry run. Now let's run it actually. See, it is installing, deploying. So now Tomcat should be there. See, it comes up now. Do you see that? See, where file is deployed on the target machine. Yeah. See, handler got executed. I'll rerun this playbook. Deployment will not happen now because it's already in place and you don't see the where file. I mean, you don't see the handler. Sorry. Hope you understood the importance of this now. So on the same server, on port 8080, Tomcat sample application would be running. 8080. It's a sample. Edit the inbound rules. Okay. Right? Got it clear, everyone? So on port 80, we have deployed a web server, like web application, and here we have deployed this WAR file. Right? So that's about handlers and the tasks. Any questions? Here you can have the variables as well. Like we can also use the variables. For example, here we are hard coding this, right? Source path, destination part. If you want, you can also parameterize them. Like instead of this, I'll use a variable. In Ansible, variables will be defined in the curly braces. Let's say src path. This is one of the ways, the first method. Okay. And then let's say destination path, right? Okay. So now how do you call it? Let's suppose you call this, it will ask for what happens now is it will ask for the it is erroring out, it's erroring out. So you have to pass them with a -e, means extra arguments or extra parameters as src path. equal to index.html. That's where, right? It's in the same path, so you can just give this index.html, and then the destination path is going to be where www.html, right? That's one of the ways to pass the variables from the command line through -c, where you pass the extra arguments. Because it is all in place, it's same. If you want, you may change this one. Okay, let's say it's v3 version. Okay. Now, if you apply this, deployment will change, and then handler will be executed. Yeah, deployment is changed, handler is executed. You should see a new version. Okay, right? So that's how you can pass the variables one method. Another method is instead of passing through the CLI, instead of passing through the CLI, you can also pass it through like here. Here you can define the variables under vars. Vars, define the variables, whichever are present here, assign the value here. It's index.html. And similarly, define the destination path, which is going to be var www.html. Right? So defining this variable and this variable here itself. So you don't need to pass them from the CLI again. Just run them without this E flag. We have defined in the playbook itself. Right? That's done. Another way is you can put them in a separate var file, separate file, like create a file called Ansible vars. Okay. Here define those variables, whichever we have, like src path and var whtml. Here it is just source path is current location only. So I may say it's a home EC2 user, right? It was in the same path. I already wrote index.html there, or else you may just put here index.html. Okay, that's a file. Or else because it's in the same location, you just give the file name here. Simply index.html, right? And now in the playbook, you will not define these attributes this way. We will define another attribute called var files. Vars files and the file name. Ansible vars is the name I have given. So it will get the values from this file. Let's save it and let's apply. Again, the same should happen, just I have placed the variables in a different file. This is always the best practice so that you have a separate file for all the variables, right? Three ways we have seen. One is through -c, one is defining in the same file itself, one is in a separate file. There is also fourth file where you can have a command, you can have a prompt, means whenever you run the playbook, it will prompt you to put the password. Sorry, to put the variable values. Okay, we will also look into it. Generally, we use that for passwords. We'll also look into it. So these are the different files you have got, right? Now let's suppose, see here, I have got one playbook for HTTPD, another for Tomcat. Let's say tomorrow I have Docker configurations. Another playbook means for each configuration, we are going to have a separate playbook. So by some time, there might be so many playbooks created, right? By some time, so many playbooks, and you'll be calling each playbook for a different configuration, which makes the things complex. So how can we better organize these playbooks? Right? How to organize this playbooks better? Also, how to reuse these playbooks, right? So rather than writing the playbooks this way, the best or the advanced method means we have seen ad hoc commands. Above that, we have playbooks. Above playbooks, you have something called roles. Role is like a directory with the subdirectories within. They're all predefined. Okay, each directory will have some meaning. We'll split the playbook into a role. It's not that first you should create a playbook, you should split it. You can straight away create a playbook, which is the best method. Let me show you. Like modularizing your code. See, here you may create a directory called roles. Go to the roles directory. Now create a role for each. Let's say first I'm creating a role for Tomcat. Right, go to Tomcat. You are segregating or making the code reusable. So here you will have again subdirectories inside Tomcat like files. Handlers means you will put all handlers into handlers directory. All the tasks into tasks. Meta means some description like a readme. Vars for all the variables. See? Now inside the files, you will put any files to be copied to the target. In the handlers, all the handlers goes in here. First, let me add the task. Anything you can add. Go to task, main.yml. Where are the tasks? I already have a playbook. I'll copy from there. It's in the home directory, playbook2.yml. So all the tasks. All the handlers. You can give any file name. Generally, we give that as a main.yml. Copying all the handlers. Go to handlers directory. Okay, put all the handlers. Just splitting the playbook. Sorry. Vim main.ym. Okay, put the handler in. Indentation. Proper indentation is important in here. Right, that's all. Anything else you have in the playbook? These things will go into a common file. So I have written all the playbook tasks. That is your role. Role is ready. If you want to have a better view of the role, you can see the tree view of your folders with a tree package. Install tree. Tree is a package which will show your directory structure in the tree format. Now, if you run tree, see, I don't want everything. I just want the roles. So go to roles, run the tree here. See, Tomcat role, files, handlers. Handlers is having this. If you want, you can put something in meta like a readme YAML. Vars, I don't have anything here. So that's all. Now, how do you call this role? Come out of the roles directory. Create a playbook. Only one playbook. I'm giving name as site.yml. Instead of writing so many playbooks, from now on, I'll have only one playbook, which is site.yml. Here, I'll write the mandatory parameters like my target, become true, become user, which is root. And then here comes the roles. Okay, like role like the role I have is Tomcat. Tomorrow I may create another role for HTTPD like Apache role. You may add the roles here. Now onwards, I'll run only this playbook, not the other playbooks, not a separate playbook for each configuration. Am I making sense? So how do you run that? Ansible playbook site.yml. That's all. Instead of running a separate thing, I'll do this. Didn't I mention the host web servers? Oh, yeah, I got it. You have to pass the inventory, right, when you run a playbook. So minus sign Ansible. Okay. Now, because Tomcat is already there, see, it does execute all the tasks one by one. That is a role. Instead of writing a separate playbook for each configuration, you create a separate role for it and call the roles together. So that you are calling Tomcat for web servers. You may use the same role for DB servers and so on. You may call that role from whichever targets you need. Understood? That's the concept of a role. Shall we convert this and Apache HTTPD also into a role? Yeah, let's do that so that it should be more clear. Go to roles. Let's create a role called Apache. Go to Apache. Okay, here let's create again. These are predefined like files, handlers, tasks, meta, vars. Okay, now any task should go in here. So let's copy. We already have a playbook, so I'm copying from there. Okay, all the tasks should go to the tasks. Also, here you will not have src path because see, any files will be copied, will be there, you should place it in the files directory. So just the file name will do. Understood why I am removing this src path. Any files to be copied from the host to the target should be placed in the files directory. So you don't need to mention the path. That's a default source path. So task is done. Go to handlers. Again, here also create the main.yml. But before that, let me copy the handler. Okay. Right. Come out of the handlers. Handlers. We have task ready files. Like I said, any file should be there in the files directory. Also vars. Any file should be present in the vars, right? Go to vars. Again, main.yml. How many variables we have now? Only one, right? Destination path. So destination path is going to be var www.html. That's all. And the files to be copied should be present in the files directory. So go to files. I'm creating a HTML file here, index.html. This is from Ansible roles, right? Earlier it was a different file, so deployment should happen this time. That's all. Role is ready. You can just check it from here. Apache role. Yeah. See, earlier Tomcat doesn't have any files to be copied. We are downloading from URL, so this is blank. We don't have variables, so this is also empty. But now we have files, variables, everything. Right? Understood, everyone? Any questions from anyone? Any questions? Is this clear? And we call it from our site.yml. So it's not that separate playbook for each configuration, the same playbook, Apache. So all the tasks will be executed from each role one after the other. Ansible playbook. Right. So first all the Tomcat tasks, everything is in place. So okay. Then starts the HTTPD task. Because it's a new HTML file, it got changed and restarted. Now, yes. Interesting, isn't it? This is how you can create a role which makes the task reusable. Right? Any questions from anyone? Understood? Following? So rather than doing this way, you create a role and call all of them from a single playbook. So yeah, that's about how you use the roles. These are our own roles. We are creating the roles from scratch. You can also use some roles which are already available. Roles are stored in something called Ansible Galaxy. Galaxy.ansible.com is where you have all the roles stored. You can search for the roles. Here are the roles, right? So many roles are there. These are all the different users. Okay, you can search the role here. Let's suppose you want to install Docker. You don't need to write a role on your own. You can use the roles. I mean, you can use already existing roles. Let's say I want to install something like Jenkins. You may download the role and use it. Role is nothing but a bunch of code, Ansible code, right? So you can search for so many roles related to Jenkins. You see the ratings here, updated date, number of downloads. That's user guide for Galaxy. The UI got changed. There were so many roles. I'm searching for Jenkins and it says by name. All roles. I'm searching for Jenkins. Okay, that too you can read the role and you have to see which is compatible to you, compatible to your environment. Like I'm using Linux on EC2, right? So lean delivery Jenkins. This is also a role which will help us lean delivery Jenkins. Here you can see what it does, how to download. See, this is how you can download the role, documentation of this role, everything available. So I would like to download this Ansible Galaxy role install. Username is lean delivery dot Jenkins so that you can install Jenkins on the target. It's not only Ansible is not only used for deploying the applications, it can also be used to configure your CI/CD servers like Jenkins, right? So let us install this. There is a command called Ansible Galaxy install roles. If you want to make sure you are installing in the right path, give the roles path. In the home directory, it's under roles, right? Lean underscore delivery dot Jenkins. And yeah, it will download the role. Do you see? Go to roles. Yes, right? This is the one. So how do you call it? Like you call any other role. Site.yml. Here you may call it as lean delivery dot Jenkins. I have tested this some days back, so I'm using, but it may not work. You have to read the compatibility, the documentation, and you can use it. If you go to this role documentation, see it says some of the parameters it was using. By the way, Jenkins runs on port 8080. But 8080 of my target, I have deployed the swar file, right? So I should change that port. So let's see where that port is configured. Yeah, this is the variable, right? I would like to override this variable. You can do it here itself. Vars This one. This is by default 8080, but now I would like to put on to 1990. So it will override the value that is defined inside this. Don't ever change the variables, go inside and don't change it, because if you change it, this is only for web servers. Maybe for other DB servers, I just want to put on 8080 only, I can use the same role, right? So rather than modifying the variable inside this role, you can overwrite it, right? And then let's start this. Ansible playbook minus sign the inventory site.ym. Right, it may take some time, a lot of time, because the role there might be so many playbook tasks which is it need to check. It might have so many plays within. See, it started. Do you see? Lean delivery Jenkins, enabling the keys, install requirements. It was in the path, home EC2 user roles, lean delivery. Do you see all of that? So it has identified it as Red Hat based system and it was using Red Hat.yml. There might be so many YAML playbooks inside. See, there is a variable called vars, variable file called amazon.yml. It's including those variables and it is executing. Do you all see that? So this way you can use roles which are already existing rather than you creating the roles from the scratch. You may install Docker, you may install many things this way. You can create EC2 instances also with Ansible, but it's not great, but you can do it. But Terraform is the best one for that. And it is on port 9090. You may see Jenkins here. Let me add that port in the target. We have given 9090, right? So on the same server, we have a on the same target machine web server on port 80, Tomcat on 8080, and now we were starting Jenkins on port 9090. It may take some time. It will take some time. Oh, somewhere it failed. 3 attempts. Warning: var cache Jenkins header loading plugin package Jenkins will be installed. Finish dependency resolution. Somehow it failed. Transaction summary downloading packages failed. Installed size, total size. This is the target, right? 23. Let me see if anything related to Jenkins got up here. What it was saying. Install Jenkins public key. Is the home directory same place? Okay, I think it has got created this. See, this is Ansible target, right? So workspace is created. Yeah, see, do you see that? Something missing. Systemctl status Jenkins. Jenkins is not installed. Some keys, some error with the keys. Failed to install 3 change header, signature, key ID. Packages excluded due to the repository priority protections, resolving the dependencies, running transaction check package will be installed. Let me check the package. Querying for any packages. It is not installed. M file, it has got some keys, it has got. Rather than modifying those fixes, we may check for an alternative role. This role may be having some issues which is not compatible with our OS. It says it works with CentOS 7, Red Hat, Amazon Linux 2, Ubuntu 18, but some issue. Minimal version of Ansible for installation is 2.7. Configuring Jenkins parameters used in etc config Jenkins or default Jenkins. Let me check if it has got anything to do with this. This is where you configure the ports. It doesn't create this at all. Or in etc default Jenkins. Let me check. Because it's not installed, we are not seeing them. Enable HTTPS. It is coming with default settings. Let me check for any other role. There is another famous role for Jenkins from some user called Geerling guy. Uh, yeah, this is also a role for Jenkins. This user has created some role for Jenkins. Sonar security. Let me add one more filter for Jenkins. It was taking only one at a time. Can try with some other roles. But that's how you download any role. This is the one we were using, lean delivery.jenkins. This is for configuring the slave. Maybe some other role. This is for slave configurations. Jenkins CI. Let's look into the documentation. What are all the operating system it supports? Jenkins home, Jenkins parameters, and then there is no OS on which it will work. Dependencies. See, when you are using this role, you should download these two roles as well. That's dependent on something else. There is no information on which operating systems it will work. Installation, documentation. See, for CentOS, it will use the Red Hat CentOS base. For Amazon Linux, we don't have it separately. So we should check for something which is suitable for Amazon Linux. But that's fine. Yeah, anyway, you can download the role this way. Generally, rather than depending on the rules from Galaxy, we create our own roles in Ansible. Right? So that's how you create the roles. And the coming up sessions we will be deploying Docker containers via Ansible and also will integrate this Ansible in the CI/CD. So there we'll be creating again a role or playbook, whatever it is. If you know how to create a playbook means you can convert it into a role and vice versa. So generally we'll be writing a playbook and converting them into a role after testing it. Right? So the next part would be deploying Docker containers via Ansible. So, and also the dynamic inventory. We shall take up this in the next session. Any questions from anyone in this part? So that is all for today. We shall continue from here in the next class. Any questions you have, you can let me know. Thanks everyone. See you all tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.